In this video, we will learn how to read and write into Csv file in Python with the help of examples. In the previous videos, we did text file handling and binary file handling. And this is another way of writing data into a file. So let's start with Csv file handling. What is a Csv file? A Csv file, that is comma separated values file, is a type of plain text file that uses specific structuring to arrange tabular data. Csv file contains only actual text data, in other words, printable ASCII or Unicode characters. To represent a Csv file, it must be saved with .csv file extension. So be very careful while saving the Csv file. The file must be saved with .csv extension. No other extension will be allowed in this case. The element of a Csv file are separated by commas. Here comma is a delimiter. Obviously we can use other delimiter also. Csv file are normally created by programs that handle large amount of data. First of all, look at this. This is the structure of a Csv file, or you can say this is the content of a Csv file. All records in a Csv file must be enclosed within a list. Look, 1 Pother Pachali Bibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay. This is one record. Suppose the first one is the serial number of a book. This is the name of the book, and the last parameter is the name of the writer. So these are the individual element of this list. So to store record, we have to use separate list for separate record. And all these record must be enclosed within a main list. Look at the main list, or you can say it is an outer list. The first record contains the column heading of the records. Since the first element of all the list contain the serial number, so its column heading is SN, that is serial number. The second data of each list are name of the book, so its column heading is book name. The third parameter of all lists are the author name. So I have written author as the column heading. The first row is optional. You can assign a column heading, or you can simply omit the first row. But I will always suggest you to write the column heading name at the beginning of the file. Within the main list, all lists are separated by comma. Now look how to write data into a Csv file. First of all, to write into a Csv file in Python, csv.writer function is used. The csv.writer function returns a writer object that converts the user data into a delimited string. This string can later be used to write into Csv file. Then the write_row function is used to write the string into Csv file. Let's write a code to write data into the Csv file. Here we are going to create a Csv file where students' roll number, name and marks of any 3 subjects, say physics, chemistry and mathematics, will be stored into this file. And all this data will be delimited by comma. So at the very beginning, we need to import the Csv module in our program. Now let's define a add record function. Within this function, I am going to write the code for writing data into the Csv file. At the first line of this function, we need to open the Csv file. For that, I have to write f equal to, f is the file pointer object. Then the open function. Within the open function, here is the Csb file. This is the name of the Csv file student, and its extension will be CSV. No other extension will be accepted other than CSV. And since this is a write operation, so W means the file has been opened in the write mode. This write mode has been already explained in my previous video. Next, there will be another parameter new line equal to blank. Nothing will be there, because if we do not write this parameter, then there will be a blank line added after each record. To stop adding blank line after every record, we need to use this parameter new line equal to single quote open close. I will show you what happens when we do not use this parameter. So for the time being, let's write this parameter new line equal to single quote open close. Next, we need to create a writer object. S is the writer object. So this writer object is created by using Csv module, and by using this Csv module, we need to call the writer function. And within this writer function, the parameter is the file pointer object f. We can also specify the delimiter We can write any delimiter we want. Suppose I'm writing comma. Comma is the default delimiter. If the delimiter is comma, so we do not require this parameter. If we have to use other than comma, then we have to use this parameter delimiter equal to, within quotes we have to specify the corresponding delimiter. Now the beginning of the file contains the column heading, and the column heading will be role, then name, then marks of physics, chemistry, and at last math. After creating this column heading list, we require this writer object and the write row function, and by using this function we are going to write the heading first, that is a column heading. After that we require an infinite loop, so for that I'm writing while true. Now we are going to take input for role, name, marks of physics, chemistry, maths from user. For that we have to create separate variable, and the input function r equal to input enter role, then n equal to input enter name, p equal to input marks in physics, then marks in chemistry, and then marks in maths, and these marks are stored within C and M respectively. Next, let's create a list by using this variable, that is r, n, p, c, and m, and again by using this writer object s, let's call the write row function, and here we will write the list within the file. Now next, asks user whether he or she wants to enter more records or not. For that I'm writing /n, press n or capital N to stop entry. Now if choice in small n or capital N, then break. It will break the while loop and come out from the while loop. So after coming out from the while loop, we need to close the file. That's all. Let's put a /n in front of the first entry, enter role. Now from within the main code, suppose this is my main code, and within the main code let's call the above function add record. That's all. Now let's run the program. Look, it is asking for role. I'm giving 1. Then suppose name is Joy, and his physics mark is say 93, marks in chemistry 80, and maths in maths 98. Then it is asking for n or capital N to stop entry. Suppose I'm giving nothing, so it will ask for the next record, and the next roll number is 2. Suppose the student name is Ishan, 85, 70, then 65. Let's enter another record. Suppose her roll number is 3, name is Anusri, and her marks are 78, 90, and then 60. Now this time I am pressing N to stop entry. So that's all. Now let's go and find where the file student.csv has been created. So look, within my installation directory, this PC local C Python 3.7. So here is my source code test. This is my Python program where I have saved this file, and the CSV file student.csv has been created within the same folder. So let me open it with any notepad or text editor. Suppose I'm opening it with a notepad++. Look, so the first row contains the column heading, roll number, then name, physics, chemistry, mathematics. So in the first column all roll numbers are there. In the second column name, third column contains the marks of physics, fourth column contains the marks of chemistry, and at the last column it contains the marks of math. Now look, I am opening this file with Excel. You can open it with any spreadsheet. Look, each and every data are fitted within separate cells. Now let me show you one thing. If I change the file name student2.csv, and if I do not write this new line, suppose I am deleting this parameter, and let's run the program again. Let's enter 3 record. Now let's open the file manually. Let's see what happened this time. Look, here is the student2.csv. Let's open with any text editor. I think that you have noticed that after each and every record there is a blank line, and this is automatic. So if we do not write new line equal to single quote open close, so a blank line will be created after each and every record, and this may lead to problem during reading time. I mean file reading time. So I suggest you to write this new line parameter during write operation. Next, reading from Csv file. Here I will show you how to read the content of a Csv file. Look at these steps. To read from Csv file, we need to use csv.reader function. Csv.reader function returns an iterable reader object. The for loop is used to iterate over this reader object to print the content of each row. Let me show you an example. Reading data from student.csv file. This time also we need to import CSV module in our program. Then let's define a function, say view record. And within the view record, let's start writing the code for reading data from the CSV file, and for that we need to open the file in read mode. Let's use the with clause, with open. You can also write in a traditional way. So with open, the name of the file student.csv, and it must be open in the read mode. So I have written R, and as f is the file pointer object. Next, we need to create a CSV reader object. Here I am writing data equal to csv.reader. This time we need to call this reader function, and within the reader function we have to specify the file object name, that is f. And if the delimiter of the file is comma, that is the data separated by using comma separator, we do not need to write anything. But if it is other than comma, so we have to specify delimiter equal to the corresponding separator. But here in my previous example I've used comma, so I'm writing comma over here, and it is optional because if the separator is comma, we don't need to write this delimiter parameter. Now in the next line we have to iterate over this data. So for row in data, I am simply printing the row. That's mean data contains the whole record, and by using this for loop, row will fetch each row one at a time. So in the first iteration, row will fetch the first row, that is the column heading of the file, and that will be printed first. And in the successive iteration, row will fetch the corresponding record and display the same. Now within the main code, let's call this view record. Here we do not require to close the file because I have written all the code within the with clause. So when we open a file using the with clause, we do not require close function to close a file. So file will be closed automatically. And in other words, I can say that closing a file is done implicitly. Let's run the program. So here is the output. So in the first row, it is showing the column heading, and the remaining rows shows the corresponding record. And all these rows are enclosed within a list. Here the row represents a list, while this row variable is extracting data from this data variable or the data object. Row is nothing but a list. The list contains the record. Since row is a list, we can also print or write like this: row of 0, row of 1, comma, row of 2, comma, row of 3, comma, row of 4. That's all. Because row 0 contains the first element, that is the roll, second parameter, that is the name, third parameter, that is the marks in physics, then marks in chemistry, and marks in mathematics. Now if I run the program, we will get the same thing, but this time the output is not showing in a list. In the first iteration, row is pointing to the first row of the data. At that moment, row 0 means roll, row 1 means name, row 2 means physics, row 3 means chemistry, and row 4 means math. In the next iteration, row is pointing to the second row. So in that case, row 0 means 1, row 1 means Joy, row 2 means 93, row 3 means 80, and row 4 means 98. Now look, if I need to find the sum of this subject, that is physics, chemistry and mathematics, so what to do? I mean to say I need to display the sum of marks beside each row, and there is no question of adding anything in the first row because the first row contains the column heading. From the second row, I'm going to print the sum of the marks of these three subjects, and that we need to do for successive rows also. Look how I am doing it. Outside the for loop, let's create a variable heading and it is initialized with say true. Now within this for loop, if heading, that's mean heading is true, then we simply print the column heading. After that we need to make the heading variable false, and in the else part we will do the rest of the operation. So in the first iteration of the for loop, the heading is true, so the if statement will be satisfied and it will print the column heading. After that, heading variable is initialized with false. So from the next iteration, this if statement will become false and the control will move to the else part. So from the second iteration, only the else part will be executed. So within the else part, let's find the sum of this number, sum of the marks of these three subjects. For that, we require an int function, int row 2, because row 2 contains the marks of physics, then int row of 3, then plus int of row 4. That's all. This time also we will print the corresponding row along with the sum. So here sum equal to s. Now let's save the file and run. Let's see what comes in the output. Look at the output below. The first row was as it is. Look at the second row. It is printing the roll number, the name of the student, the marks of 3 subjects, and sum equal to 271. Then sum equal to 220, then sum equal to 228. That's all for this video. Still, if you have any problem, write it down in the comment box. I will try to reply you back as soon as possible. Thank you.